Hello, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Whalen. I'm one of the faculty members for our Tourism and Hospitality Management program, and I wanted to talk to you today about looking at your degree plan and making sure that you graduate on time. A big thing to consider is that your advisors are great and wonderful help, and they definitely want to help you. The thing to consider, however, is that they have hundreds of students that they're helping, so sometimes it seems like maybe you're not a priority, and it's not that you're not a priority, it's that they have a lot of things that they're juggling at once. So if you really consider it, and as you move forward in life, take this as some advice, that the only person who's truly going to put you first, probably other than your parents, maybe your spouse, sometimes your kids, but really it's going to be you. And in a work setting, and in this case, school is your job in some ways, the person who's going to put you first is you. So you have to advocate for yourself. And how do you do that? By planning, preparation, and understanding where you're coming from and where you're going to. So if you go into that meeting with your advisor and you have a good idea of which classes you want to take, why, and when, then you're going to be a lot better off than if you're just hoping that the advisor picks best for you. So I really want you to be your own advocate, and I want you to learn how to make sure that you can graduate in the time span that you really hope to. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your upper division form, and you should be filling this out every semester. You can even have two upper division forms, an upper division form of what's already occurred and a plan for what you're going to do in the future. And I have a special sheet for that just for tourism and hospitality management to help you, which will be in a different video. So the first thing I want to look at is this upper division form, which will be available to you. You can either ask your advisor or you can ask us as faculty, and we'd be happy to share this document with you because it is for you and it is developed for you. And hopefully this will also be online, and I'm working on that currently. Now I'm going to take you through this upper division form so that way you can figure out how to use it, how it works, and what all this information is, because without understanding it, it's very hard to use. So the first thing I want to show you is that there are three different paths you can take within tourism and hospitality management. You can choose to either focus on tourism, on hospitality, or event planning. So if you'll see at the bottom, the first three tabs on this Excel sheet say tourism management, hospitality management, and event planning. And what you'll find is that each of these upper division forms is exactly the same with one small variation. And that variation comes in the form of your specialization courses that you're going to take. And we'll go over that in just a moment. So you can really look at any one of these just depending on which one you wanted to focus on. They're all great. They only have a really, like I said, slight variations between them. So we're just going to go from tourism management because it's the first one on here. And so I want to take you through how to use this. You'll notice the first part of this upper division form are all your gen eds. So gen eds are required for every student who graduates from MTSU. Oftentimes with federal funding and state funding, there are requirements for education that include general education requirements. And this is how you fulfill them. Whether you went to University of Tennessee, Knoxville, or you went to Memphis, or you went to any of the other state schools, you would have to do the same. This is a part of when you're college educated, they want you to come out having a well-rounded education, not just within your major. And so this is part of that requirement. So the way it works is you'll see here how many credit hours you need to complete and which courses you could complete within that. So if there are, for the gen eds, more courses than the number of credits you need, you would only select some of those courses in order to fulfill that total of 9-hour requirement. If you'll notice in communication, you do need a total of 9 hours, and there are 9 hours written here. So COM 2200, English 1010, and English 1020, of course, those are sequential. So you're probably going to want to take these first thing freshman year. A lot of times gen eds you can take as a transfer student, you can take them as a community college to get them in first. Sometimes you're going to take all your gen eds in the first 2 years and then focus on your major after that. That's okay too. Just make sure that you're working on these early. Sometimes you need these in sequence, so you want to do that. Now, the way I recommend filling out the sheet for yourself is you'll notice over here, these are about proposed substitutions. Ignore that. Really, it doesn't impact you except perhaps if you're a transfer student or you're bringing in extra credits. But in general, what your advisors are going to do is they're going to use this for other information. However, what I recommend you do is go in and you can fill in this Excel sheet however you want. What I would do is instead change this to say semester completed. Once you have that, you can now go in and say, well, I took fundamentals of communication in the fall of 2020 and I got a grade of A. So now what you would do is you would fill in all those courses that you have completed, so that way you know what you have done and what you still have to complete. This is going to make it really easy when you go in for that advising appointment, or when you're looking for classes yourself to figure out, well, what do I still need in order to graduate? I know that I'm going to need 9 hours, 6, 9, 3, 8 for my gen eds. I know I'm going to have to fill that out. The same thing applies and as well as the 6 hours here. The same thing applies when we start getting into tourism and hospitality management. However, things are a little bit different here. If you'll notice, for the core courses, you need 25 hours, and you have to have every single one of these classes. So now we're going to start planning out, okay, well, I took intro first. I took that in spring of 2020. I got my A. And then I am taking this coming fall. Oh, that shouldn't be red. As my computer is thinking. So of course I'm going to fill in classes I'm taking or classes that I have already been scheduled to take. And I probably wouldn't fill in the grade here yet because I haven't gotten to fall 2020. And you can plan out which classes you've taken. The reason why you want to update this every semester is that way you can put in that grade that you've earned, but can also see which classes you still have remaining. So in tourism and hospitality management, we have all these core courses that we are going to have to complete. That includes Intro to Tourism and Hospitality Industry, which you should take first. The Tourism and Hospitality Planning and Development, Service Design and Delivery, Issues and Trends in Tourism and Hospitality Management, Capstone in Tourism and Hospitality Management, Leadership and Professionalism Seminar, which is a 1-credit course, is a seminar, Program Planning and LSTS. So LSTS is Leisure, Sport, and Tourism Studies. That is the program we're housed under. Research and Evaluation and Leisure, Sports, Tourism Studies, and Senior Seminar and Leisure, Sport, Tourism Studies. So then we get into your specialization. This is where it makes a difference between tourism, hospitality, and event. So in tourism, if you wanted to go the tourism track, you're going to take these 3 classes: Destination Management, either International Tourism or Cross-Cultural Perspectives, and Social Media Marketing e-commerce. These 3 courses are required for the tourism specialization. Now, really quickly, International Tourism is a class that you take on the ground here at MTSU, where Cross-Cultural Perspectives is actually a study abroad course that is offered typically in the spring, although that might change. There might be variation in that. That is why we have 2 options here. If either study abroad is not cost effective for you or isn't really viable for you, you can take International Tourism instead. So then let's look at hospitality management. The 3 specialization courses for hospitality management that are required. You need to take Principles of Lodging and Food and Beverage. You need to take Food and Spirits Tourism, and you need to take Food Service Management for the Culinary Arts. And for event planning, you will need to take Special Event Planning, Field Study, and LSTS. So Field Studies is actually very similar to an internship. It's basically a mini internship. You will be required to find someone to hire you, whether it's unpaid or paid, and we'll get into that in another video, that you need to find someone who will hire you to do a special project with them that is going to be event related. And that's going to be your field study. And then professional management, the professional MEAS management, which we might be changing that, but for now that is the required course in the specialization. Now you'll also notice in each of these 3 we have 2 open areas for approved electives. So you'll notice we have everything has been the same except for which 3 classes are in the specialization, but in all 3 of them you need 2 approved electives, which we'll get to in just a moment. Or actually, let's go there now. So if you look at the bottom, you'll see these tabs. We have the tourism management, hospitality management, and event planning, which are the 3 different tracks you can take in the tourism and hospitality management program. We also have, I listed that out here, so you can just compare the 3 specializations. So you'll see those classes here, and when they are offered, if they are THM classes. If they are other departments such as marketing, this is nutrition and food science, and this is business education. All 3 of those classes are offered by other colleges, and therefore we don't have the term because that's really going to be up to those departments, and you need to reach out to those departments specifically to get that information. The approved electives is this list here. You'll notice that there are 33 offered classes that are approved at this time. What we really recommend that you do for your 2 approved electives is choose THM classes. So our first recommendation is to choose one of these. I'm going to fill that. Okay. I really recommend for those 2 extra classes, that's what you do. However, we wanted to give you more flexibility than that, and you can see there are a number of other classes you can pick from. Some of these classes have prerequisites. If they have prerequisites that you don't have the class for, it's probably not a good choice because it has to be on this list to count as an elective. A prerequisite for an elective class would not count towards our prescribed or allowed electives that you were supposed to take. So really, these are the ones that we recommend, and I'll put wine appreciation in that too. These are the THM classes that we really recommend for your approved electives that you would fill in here. So again, going back to my tourism management, if I were going to do this, I would say, okay, I'm taking the tourism management and I've decided that I want to take food and spirit tourism as one of my electives. And I took that in the spring of 2020, and now I have that filled in. So that way when I go to my advisor again, or when I'm looking at it for myself, I have that information here that I can look at. And so you would fill in that information, of course, looking at what's being offered from the approved electives list. So far we have our 3 different categories, our specializations listed together, and our approved electives. The other thing you're going to need to do for the THM major is you're going to have to complete an internship. Now, an internship in THM could also be a job. It just really depends, and we'll have a separate video specifically explaining the internship. This will be pretty much the last semester that you take, and it's 12-hour credits that you're getting for that. Okay, so we'll go over that later. Again, we have our tourism management, hospitality management, event planning, our first 3 tabs. Those are the 3 different tracks you can take, and they are all the same except for which specializations are showing. You can see a comparison of the specializations here. You can have a list of approved electives on the next tab. After that, we have a list of the approved minors that you need to take for the tourism and hospitality major. So in general, if we were to have a full faculty for this program, tourism and hospitality management, as you look at other very large programs, you look at University of Houston, you look at University of Central Florida, University of Nevada, Las Vegas, some of these really big programs where they have 40 different faculty members, they actually teach all these different classes in-house because a lot of times hospitality programs are under business programs because hospitality is business. It's specialized business. It is the business of service. It's the service industry. And so there are slight variations from good-based industries, which is why we have our own specialization and our own programs across the country and across the world. But because we don't have that large of a faculty, we have a really great opportunity to share with the great faculty we have at the business college. So we do require either a business administration minor or an entrepreneurship minor. And so in this, you'll see which classes you need to take. You will speak directly to the business college to make sure that you are hitting all the different fundamentals that you need for that minor. That minor is granted by the business college, in which we then accept that they have granted you that minor. I just have a list here of all the requirements you need for credits. In order to graduate, and this is for anyone who graduates from MTSU, you must have a minimum of 120 credit hours. And so you can see how that adds up here. So for example, on the required minor, it says 18 credits. However, over here, the entrepreneurship is only 15. In order to complete that, you would need to complete an additional free elective. That would be for THM, and that would get you up to your 120 hours. Next, I've also created a recommended course order for you. This is the assumption that you are finishing your gen eds in your first 2 years, and then you're focusing on THM in your junior and senior years, or if you're a transfer, you're doing your junior and senior classes for THM, and that's why it only really lists this many semesters. If you start as a freshman, you can start to spread this out a little bit more. However, this is really the recommended course order, and I have it whether you're starting in the fall or the spring based on when classes are offered and which classes you should take first. You should always take intro and service design and delivery first. Those are the first 2 classes you really should take from tourism and hospitality management. From there, there's a little bit of variation in there, but what you should be taking last are senior seminar, issues and trends in THM, leadership and professional seminar, and capstone in THM. So these 4 classes here should be the last ones you're taking senior year before you do your internship. You'll see that here again, just reversed for the fall and the spring based on when they're offered, because these really should be a culmination of what you've already accomplished within the program. So these are basically your senior classes, and these are going to be your junior classes, your earlier classes. I put the specialization here for you again so you can see. You can also see I've marked and designated next to which classes should be offered in which semesters, and this should hold pretty constant from year to year. You can also see you have your internship here. That should be completed as your last semester. If you're starting in the fall, you would probably complete this over the summer, and if you're starting this spring, you can complete this as a spring semester. And then I've also put just the THM curriculum, which I also have a separate sheet for, and I will go over that in a different video because I encourage you to use this as future planning as opposed to this is really what you're doing now. So this is an overview of how to use the upper division form. Make sure you're filling it out as you go, both for your gen eds as well as your required courses. Make sure you understand what all the tabs are. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your advisors or to reach out to me to help clarify how to use this sheet. One of the big things is if you come to me and you want help with advising, the number one thing I'm going to ask you is where's your upper division form filled out? So once you have that filled out, we can look at it together, but until you do, I'm going to probably send you to this video and say, all right, I need you to fill out this upper division form so we can take a look at it together. And oftentimes once you fill this out, you'll find that you really don't need me to help because you already have a really good plan of how you're going to graduate and how you're going to graduate on time. So I wish you best with that and good luck in filling out all your courses and graduating from our amazing program and our amazing school.